1. Your thoughts form a blueprint that your mind and body work to make a reality. Every thought you think causes a physical reaction and an emotional response. So be aware of your thoughts and be ready to change them. Science has proven that our beliefs and outlook have an effect on our immune systems and our ability to heal ourselves. Every clinical drug trial has to exclude the placebo effect because the belief or expectation that we will heal is sometimes even more powerful than the drugs themselves. Your mind does not care and indeed does not know if what you tell it is true or false, useful or useless, beneficial or harmful. It acts on words as if they are the absolute truth. So you may as well tell your mind better things. You will find yourself with better results. 2. The strongest force in humans is that we must act in a way that consistently matches our thinking. If you say, "I'm so stressed, I know my skin is going to break out," or "Gosh, I'm running late, my irritable bowel is going to act up and make me even later," then that is exactly what will happen. Your mind must get you to act in a way that matches your thinking. So you must be very careful about what you present to your mind. Why? Because it's going to present it right back in your actions and external reality. 3. The subconscious is not good at future pacing. Our subconscious functions better when it is working in the now. Rather than saying, "I will find love, wealth, health, or success next year," you must say, "I'm becoming wealthy, lovable, successful, or super healthy right now, on this day, in this moment." Saying that will mean your mind will begin to find opportunities and openings to match that reality. 4. Your mind responds to the pictures you form in your head and the words you say to yourself. This is actually great news, because you can change those words and pictures anytime. Ever notice that the more you try to avoid thinking about something, the more it pops into your head? "Don't think of chocolate" is more or less saying to your brain, "Think of chocolate." Instead, create an alternative image that is evocative, compelling, and alluring, and tell your brain to think of that. A delicious bowl of fruit with nuts and seeds sprinkled on top, full of seasonal and ripe fruits that will boost your immune system, instead of an artificial chocolate bar you'll inhale in 30 seconds. Fixate on that, and your mind will forget about the chocolate entirely. 5. The subconscious mind responds to words that are vivid, exciting, descriptive, and in the present tense. When coming up with words and pictures, it's important to remember that your mind likes simplicity. The words and images you conjure for yourself should be direct, bold, affirmative, and in the present tense. Don't temper your statements with qualifying words like maybe, eventually, try, or someday. Don't speak in the future or past tense. Don't be wishy-washy or modest with the images you conjure. Be direct, precise, and prescriptive. 6. The mind learns by repetition. This rule is so simple it almost feels like it can't be true, but it is. Athletes and musicians practice their craft or skill every day because it builds neural pathways that make much of what they do automatic, a process known as neuroplasticity. The same goes for the more mundane thoughts and habits we create in our lives. If you tell yourself over and over, "Nothing works out, I can't do that, this will probably end in tears," your mind learns to accept and even create that reality. This rule is true for both good and bad thoughts. Just as you can unwittingly teach yourself negative habits through repetition, you can unlearn them and teach yourself positive ones through repetition. 7. Your mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs. When you have conflicting beliefs, they cancel each other out. I have seen contradictions like this so many times in my office throughout my career. Often the client isn't even aware of them. They sound like, "I want a baby, but I will lose my job and get fat. I want to speak in public, but everyone will laugh at me and I'll fail. I want love, but it would kill me if I got dumped again because it hurt so bad the last time." In these cases, our mind is confused. It cannot pick a lane. However, when our mind is unidirectional, it becomes like a powerful laser. You'll never meet a vegan who loves bacon. They think it's disgusting. Their mind is clear. They're not fighting to refuse meat. When we present the mind with conflicting beliefs, we unravel and unpick these beliefs until they cancel each other out, meaning we don't get the outcome we want. Your mind's job is to move you toward pleasure and away from pain. This rule is hugely responsible for keeping human beings alive. When you experience pain, your mind searches for the cause and says, "Never again." However, if you have an adverse experience such as a miscarriage, an embarrassment while giving a speech at work, or a shameful experience around food as a kid, your mind can easily attach pain to the wrong things. Things you actually want, such as having a baby, public speaking, or eating a nourishing and healthy diet. It's important to make sure your mind isn't confusing pleasure and pain based on old or adverse experiences that are no longer relevant to you. You have to make the things you want pleasurable and the things you don't want painful. 9. What is expected tends to be realized. People underestimate the extent to which their expectations end up shaping their reality. This can happen in both implicit and explicit ways. In other words, it not only shapes people's interpretations of events, it can actually be the cause of certain outcomes. One example of this might sound like, "I knew I'd get sick just like my dad. I saw my father taking medication every day for the ulcer he got, and I formed a belief that hard work makes you sick." That person then goes on to get sick from overwork. This rule is especially true for parents to keep in mind, because children learn what they live. 10. In a battle between emotion and logic, emotion always wins. This rule is entirely central to RTT, as you've probably realized by now. Most therapy is logical. Let's talk about what happened. Why does it make you feel that way? But when all problems and behaviors have emotional problems at their core, logic is a waste of time. If we could help people logically, we'd merely have to say, "You are ruining your life with alcohol. You should stop." Or, "You're a 6-foot-tall grown man. You don't need to be afraid of something as small as a mouse." But those approaches simply don't work. If emotion defeats logic, forget about the logical explanation and work to change the emotion attached. 11. Your mind does what it thinks you want it to do. Your mind is doing what it thinks you want, likely based on information you told it a long time ago in the form of your repeated or inherited thoughts. Your mind always thinks it is acting in your best interest. So if you're not getting the outcomes you want, give your mind better instructions. Remember, your mind does not care if what you tell it is good or bad, healthy or not, true or false. It doesn't care if you tell it you want to eat potato chips or apples, work on your project or procrastinate, go for a walk or watch more Netflix. Like putting lotion on your skin, whatever you tell it, it lets in. Give your mind relevant, detailed, up-to-the-minute instructions so your mind doesn't act on old or unhelpful information. 12. Your mind is hardwired to resist what is unfamiliar and return to what is familiar. One of the most damaging things we can tell ourselves or think is, "That's not available to me." Whether it's love, money, career success, or weight loss, we have to make the things we want familiar. Even if we didn't grow up with any of those things, we can tell our minds that the things we desire are deeply familiar to us, and make the things we want to leave behind entirely unfamiliar. Our mind is wired to do the rest because it loves to stay with what's familiar. 13. The greater the conscious effort, the less the subconscious responds. In a battle between the subconscious and conscious, the former will always win. That's why simply saying to yourself, "Try to go to sleep," or "Try to relax," never works. It's also why the harder you try to have an orgasm, the harder it becomes. If you take away the conscious effort, you leave room for the subconscious to take over. Stop trying, and instead give your subconscious better instructions. Sleep comes to me. My body is a fat-burning machine. My digestion is amazing.